Hi everyone, it's Sarah. Welcome back to today's video. Today we're working through the playroom again since it needs to be gone through every so often to keep things in check. Simplifying kids' toys is a process. It's like the onion method. You keep peeling away at it a little bit at a time, but the benefits are worth it. The more toys there are, the more stressed out it makes the kids and the less likely they are to actually play and use them. They get overwhelmed and the playroom makes them stressed out and they don't want to be in here. I don't know if your kids are like mine, but if the playroom is too crowded and too cluttered, they would rather take a toy from here into the living room, into a calmer, peaceful space and play with it in there rather than stay in the playroom with all the other toys going on, just because it's just like it's too much visual clutter. So I have some tips for you to help declutter and simplify kids' toys. Now, our playroom is definitely not perfect and it has evolved a lot over the years and it's constantly changing with the kids' needs and as they grow. Over time, we've also realized what works for them and for us. So start small because it will seem too overwhelming to tackle the whole thing at once. Ask your kids, do you enjoy this toy? Do you really love playing with it? And have you seen them use it recently as well? And a lot of times my kids will be like, no, I mean, I like it, but I don't really want to play with it anymore. I'm like, can we pass it along to another kid that could enjoy it and get use out of it? And they'd be like, yeah, sure, might as well. Give it to them, they can use it. So as you're going through things, make sure you have a donation box next to you, a garbage bag as well, and also a bin for rotating toys and keeping toys in a storage area for later. It is helpful if you know your kids' Clutterbug style. Cass from Clutterbug says that most kids are butterflies, which I do find is the case, but sometimes butterflies mean that they are visual and they like larger categories, which is definitely true, especially for little kids like toddlers and stuff. I found out over the years though, my kids like macro categories for some items, and then they also like more micro categories for different things. So it's not set one way or the other. It depends what the item is and what your kid's personality is. I mean, sometimes they really love to, they'll just sit and organize things. I mean, maybe because that's what I used to do. They'll sit and they'll organize things very micro into specific categories. And that's just what they'll do. Instead of playing, they'll just organize and sort. That's fun for them. So, I mean, that works for certain items, but like certain dolls that they have. But larger dolls all go in one bin. We have all the coloring books. Those big items are all in one bin. All the dress up, pretend clothes, that's in one large bin. Those aren't in smaller categories. All the play food is in a large macro category. But with some things like their LOLs, they will break them down into one drawer is for water bottles, one drawer is for shoes, one drawer is for people, one drawer is for hats. I mean, you have to just, and some kids will just throw them all together, and that's fine, as long as it's all stuff for that particular item. Whatever, you have to work with them and understand how their brain and their organizing style works. Because you can't fight what they naturally, want to do. A lot of times, if there's things left on the floor, it's because they don't have a home. So I will ask them, why has this thing been sitting on the floor? Well, I don't know where to put it. Does it deserve a home? Does it have a home in this room? If it doesn't have a home, where do you think it belongs? Does it belong in one of these categories? Or do we need to take something out to make a new home for this item? And if they're not willing to do that, then that item will go. So it's important that everything has a home and that you are both on the same page so that the kid and the parent understand where the home is for that item so that they are clear about where to put it away. We've gotten rid of tons of items over the years, tons and tons of bags and boxes full of stuff. But anything that they were unsure about, we would put into a like a Rubbermaid tote in the attic, and we would leave it up there. Say, don't worry, it's not completely gone. We will store it up there, and then if you want it in like a month or two, I'll go and bring it back down for you. Phoenix. So if it was something that they were hesitant about, then we would keep it up there. That way they would feel a little bit more comfortable with letting things, you know, move out of the room and not hanging onto them quite so tightly. When the kids were a lot smaller, we would also use the bins like in the attic or in the basement, whatever space that you have, to rotate toys, especially when they were little and toys were a lot bigger. So your room would be filled up with all these like large scale toys, which was like a disaster. So your house felt like a toy store, you know? We would let them know that we will rotate toys, so you can play with these for now. And then, you know, in a couple months, we'll rotate and we'll switch toys so that they're fresh again. And then they would get all excited because they had forgotten about them for a little while. And then they played with them so much more because they were like fresh in their mind. And rotating toys definitely depends on the space that you have. If you're able to do that, I recommend it. If you want your kids to get the most use out of their toys, rotating them and keeping them fresh gives them more excitement, and they'll get more use out of them that way. I've stopped buying like specific toys for like specific things, depending on what they are, because the kids outgrow them so fast. Like, they were super into Bubble Guppies and, oh, Thomas the Train when they were little. And then they got older and they're like, oh, those are baby things. I don't want those anymore. But if it's just a train and a train set or vehicles, then, I mean, they can play with those things for several years. Even though we have some items like My Little Pony things, because they've been enjoying My Little Pony for probably the past 5 years. And we have the little Equestria Girl dress-up dolls. Those things can be used in different ways. They like to just dress them up. You can use them open-endedly in any story. Like the LOL dolls, they don't always use them in the LOL houses, but they can be used in the castle, in any story that they want to tell, because it's just a doll and you can dress it up to work with whatever you want to say in your story. So those things I'm okay with. And we have different houses and castles and places that their little people and their fairies and stuff can play in. Another thing that we've been really enjoying is the magnetile type magnetic tile. Ours is called Picasso tiles, but whichever brand, same idea. You can build all kinds of different things with it. Use blocks to build houses, or they'll even use like the Jenga blocks to build different creations out of too. So things like that are always good. Oh, hi. Now you've come to visit me. Hi. Hi, honey. They also really like the marble run that we have, because that takes a little bit more engineering and thinking, but they can be very creative and come up with different styles and designs for that too. So I found that they play in the playroom a lot longer once things are organized in their homes. They know where their homes are. It's easier for them to pick things up and put them away. So they will sit in here and they will play with things a whole lot longer, and then it's not a fight and a struggle to get them to clean up at the end of the day. Because I get it. If it's crowded and it's cluttered and it's just like, if it's a lot for me to try to clean up and to tackle, then it's like crazy overwhelming for a small child to be expected to organize and put everything away. It's just too much. So, I mean, you know your kids best, and there's been plenty of times where I've gone through the whole playroom at nighttime while they're sleeping, and I will trash bunches of stuff. I will donate things, and it's usually just stuff that I clearly know that they do not play with. It was a random gift that they just weren't thrilled about, that we can donate, pass along, and they've been okay with that. I would just caution you, if you do that, just be very careful, because if there's something that your child really loves and you're just, purging like crazy, and then they're like, but where is such and such? And you're like, oh, I gave it away. They're going to be more attached to their things, and it's going to be harder for them to let go in the future, and they're not going to trust you as much, because they're like, well, did mom just throw this away again? Or I don't want to let this go because I don't know what's going to happen to it, how long I'm going to have it. So you have to make sure you are careful so that you don't lose your kids' trust. So if you can involve them, even one tiny bin at a time, just work through it, discuss it with them so they understand and you guys are on the same page, and they don't lose that trust. It's also helpful if your kids are really little to label all of your bins and containers so it's clear to them and they can remember where everything goes. My kids are older, they're 8 and almost 11 now, so I don't have to put labels on everything. They know what bin has what in it, so we don't have to have labels. But definitely when they're younger, you can have just picture labels or just simple words to help them learn the words and to remember how to organize their things. So let me know if you have any other tips for organizing and decluttering kids' toys. And let me know in the comments what struggles you have with getting rid of kids' toys as well. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to subscribe and hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.